Sorry, there was no volume on that. My apologies. All right, so loading everything up here. Good to go. Good to rock and roll. Seems the stream's doing okay. Sorry if there was no volume there for a second. Sorry, John. Sorry about that. Yeah, we're good to go now. Yeah, so markets wiped about 3.8 billion off the SPY, give or take. Market's going through a bounce right now because we're going to be doing, looks like, a back test on the VIX. So kind of a wild day. I'm sure today probably wasn't the easiest for most. Again, because we kind of had a sell move yesterday, followed by a long move today, followed by another short move. So there's been a lot of back and forth over the last, 20 hours of trading or so. That's probably caused some confusion. So yeah, we'll jump into it. Today there was it was a pretty cool move, all said and done. I mean, market flipped into a sell move. So yeah, I think today was overall pretty I think today was a pretty good day. Personally, yeah, I mean, there's not going to be well, I don't want to say there's not going to be, but a V reversal all the way back to highs would be quite something. You usually don't do that, especially on a day like today. It's just not something you typically look for, personally. So we're definitely not going to be recommending any sort of V reversal. The only thing really long bias that we might discuss would be back tests of the current selling trend, so that way we're not looking for something higher than the current bearish trend to the downside. If it were to reset, then we could, but it just doesn't make sense to do that. If we were coming off a big daily support or a big weekly support, then maybe, which we might be kind of close to some of those. I'd actually have to double check that. So, but last I checked, I didn't have too much confidence in anything like that. I would love a huge V reversal like that. That would be fun, but it would be going against the trend. Again, we're in a bearish trend, so you would be trying to essentially turn the market entirely bullish while it's currently bearish. So that's never an easy thing to do. All right. Got you a sexy short. That's a good job. Awesome. I'm happy you got a nice short. Yeah, we'll get into it. We'll start here. All right. So we'll obviously cover the VIX a bit, take a look at the market, and get going. So the first thing we're going to do is start here, even though this wasn't the first part of today's, kind of trade recommendation, if you may, and forecasting, but it's always a part of the forecast. So we are going to go to SPX here. Let me delete this real quick. Yeah, so whenever there's a gap, again, we're always going to be looking for the 161 target as our first destination with follow through in the direction of the gap. So we'll go here to a 1 minute chart because you can see the detail of it. So today, once the market opened and obviously didn't give us the initial kind of roll to the downside, that's where we had suggested you will watch up into the 161 most likely. So there's your long for continuation of the impulse overnight gap. So yes, there's a gap in the chart, and yes, that is a gap, but another way that you can think of that is from the close, which is where I'm circling, to the open. That is an overnight impulsive, and I'm not going to write it all, but again, overnight impulsive move. All right. So if you run the Fibonacci of such impulsive move, you would know that the 161 extension target for today's gap was at 6,078 and some change. Okay. That doesn't mean the market's supposed to top here. That's not what that means. It just means it's a desirable long destination. Remember that long targets can be short entries as well. Not always the case. The market could have easily broken that, gone higher, just like it does many other times. Again, the market clearly wanted to roll over, sell off anyways. All right. So that's kind of the first one of the first ways we kind of dictated where to look for the market to force up again today was to gap targets. Luckily, it just happened to be a very, very clean respec today. It went straight from open right to target. Now, prior to that target, we were actually looking on the SPY to go down to 605.80. So now I'm going to take you to pre-market, which this analysis comes before the gap targets, because the gap targets can only be derived once you get the opening price. So you kind of have to wait for the market to open to run that sort of system. But prior to that system, we were looking for a short move down to 605.80 in the pre-market / into the open. And that sort of price target recommendation was on deck once the market started to break down right there. All right. So the powers that be, I could maybe even, I wonder if there's a way I could maybe slow that down. Let's see. Let's see if this changes it. We'll do that. So this the 605.80, which I'll throw a target bullseye on it. That was one of our, again, there's multiple, but again, it moves in sequence. So the 605.80 was a short target. Those that are in our private stream and in our Discord, if you guys are in the chat, pretty much if you're in the chat and you're in our Discord, you're in our private room, feel free if you want to back me up on any of the recommendations or calls that we make in the private side, so it doesn't just seem like I'm doing a bunch of hindsight 2020 saying we said something that we didn't. But you know, I'm trying to really go through the repeat process of all the analysis we did in the private, you know. So if you guys are in the Discord, you guys want to back up some of these comments in the chat, that would also be cool and helpful. I appreciate that. So again, 506.80, or sorry, 605.80 was the short target this morning, one of. Okay. And when we start to consider that being a target is when we know that the long trend could be failing and, say, reversing. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on this green 1 minute. See this green 1 minute? That's where the market starts to break down. You see that? Essentially, the market is upsided. Once we get below, that starts to get a little bearish. Even though it's getting bearish up here, this would be kind of a break location for us. And then once that happens, then the target bullseye starts to become more activated. All right. So from this point here, the target would be the bullseye. So on the first initial go, we pretty much get like 80% of it. Then, of course, they do a little bit of a pop and a run. All right. And then we go get the target later. Okay. So that's pretty much that. The reason I'm talking about the 1 minute anchor here is, again, if you look at the regular trading hours and you go to the 30-minute, you will see that we entered a long operation there. So let's delete these out real quick. All right, you'll see. So see where the 50 SMA is at? It's at the price of 605.80. Hence why the short target was also 605.80, because if the long press eventually fails, then everyone getting long because we're over 605.80 then gets taken back to the 605.80. So the best way I explain it is, if, you know, the purpose of you getting long was because we're going over 605.80, if it fails, our objective is just to take you right back down there, right? Hence the fail or the reset. So we're going to map off the 50 SMA here, 605.80. Go back into the extended trading hours just so you guys can see where the market turned into an uptrend this morning, right here. See how we get over the yellow? That's pretty much the uptrend start, 605.80. So that means we're going to be anchoring to that candle that caused the break of 605.80. And as long as we hold the volume weighted average price, the VWAP of the new uptrend start in the micro, then the micro is bullish. If we start to fail, the VWAP, the support of the new uptrend that started at 605.80 at a time of 4 a.m. Eastern time, then we know we can arguably see weakness. And we know that if the long that started at 4 a.m. at 605.80 fails and goes through a reset, we look to reset the entire reason of the market being bullish in the first place, which was over 605.80. Psychology. That's really more psychology-based concept, is that if what you were trying to do fails, then we take you back to why you were trying to do what you were trying to do in the first place, was to get bullish over the 50 SMA. So, haha, middle finger to you, go back to the 50 SMA. All right. Now, every retail participant was not trying to get bullish over the 605.80. They're not trying to do that. That's more algorithms. I mean, if retail's up at 4 in the morning looking at 605.80, then maybe. But most people aren't. They're sleeping. So there's all kind of computers and stuff getting talked to and trading and automated stuff at that time of day. And there's some retail, obviously, and some people that are up that early. But that's mainly algorithms and stuff. Okay? So that's kind of the reason for, one of the reasons for looking for weakness here and then targeting the 605.80. All right? So now it's 9:20 in the morning. We're close to market open. We're kind of looking for the downside to at least test this target and then go from there. Well, what happens is, again, the market opens in a gap up. So even though we're looking for that 605.80 drop, the market opens with a gap up, which means we have to fib gap up and give the gap up strategy the time of day. So market open, and this is all in the private group, market open, we're basically looking bearish in the immediate because that's where the analysis is pointing for us. And then, give it 5 minutes into the open, and we basically come to conclusion that the short isn't going to work in the real time, and it looks like we're going to force the market up. And as a result, we will start then looking up towards the 161 gap extension target, hence giving the gap strategy its opportunity to shine. So then we run up to the 161, we get the first desired 161 target. Afterwards, we start getting weakness, all right? So once we start to get weakness, we will then look at something like this. The 1 minute volume trend of the long press. So if we go to SPX and we track, and I'll throw a couple here, like even this right here. So we'll throw up a 1 minute volume trend. So market opens up on the day. It goes up. We also know that when markets kind of go up and then they fail and they roll over, very common thing you're going to see is that everyone who was getting long initially ends up stopping out. So running the 1 minute volume trend, which we'll just say is from here to here, we know that if we start to get below that, then who is left on the day since the open that's still positive on their trade? No one. Because again, who bought the 1 minute candle? We already know most of retail, as they say, doesn't trade for the first 5, 10, 15, 20, or even 30 minutes. So if they trade after the first 10 minutes, that means they're going to be taking maybe a long up here. So if you just think about when retail interacts, or just in general, even if they're not interacting, and just volume in general, you would know that the average share price of every participant on this move up can't have a better average either than low of day. That would be the best of the best, right? Low of day. Literally, you bought the exact penny tick low to start the day. That's the best possible lowest price of volume that could have came in today. If you average it out, it would be this box. So if you go below that box, who from the beginning of the day that traded long isn't red? So, hence, many times when you get below the 1 minute trend for the day, you've effectively stopped everyone out that's been long. That bought the high, bought the lows, and any way up in between. And if you stop them out, what happens? They flush themselves. That being said, we do also use the 1 minute volume trend, as you see here, for a support. So if the trend's good and the trend's strong and it's not meant to fail, many times we'll end up going back to screw with everyone who initially started the long on the day, stop them out, and then run the price up. So it's kind of the double-sided sword there, is that when you use a 1 minute tactic like that, it's a flush spot, but also the bottom bounce spot. So it kind of depends on sentiment for the market that day, and obviously whatever the market wants to do. So we basically flush out the 1 minute volume trend, aka everyone long bias, to start the day. As a result, we can get some more sell pressure. So you will see, and I'll go over to the SPY here. So 605.80. So think about it like this. All right. So we're going to take like this low move. All right. So we'll put one there and arguably this guy right here. All right. So take this on the SPY. And we'll say that, again, right here where I just put that box. And I'll make that box different than green because it's kind of overlapping. Might be kind of like meh. I'll just make it yellow. So right below that yellow box, we know we're pretty much have effectively stopped out everyone who is long bias on the day. And what was that target we were looking for? 605.80. So we had to first go through the long press on the day, which was ultimately the continuation to what? The 161 target of today's overnight impulsive gap. We find resistance there unknowingly, right? It just decides to top, get some resistance, which can happen at the 161, but it's never something you're like, oh, this is going to hit top the market. That's not really what you're thinking there. But you know it can kind of happen in the back of your mind if things progress. So it hits 161 target, profit take, people come down, yada, yada, yada. Again, as a result, we come down, we stop out everyone who bought the long initially on the day. And then we revert them back down again to the 50 SMA, which really is the original target from the point of breaking down the 1 minute 50 SMA trend, knowing that everyone who is buying and they're stopped out and we're looking to reset the market. All right. So why did I only pick this bullseye for the early morning target as the downside metric? That's because as long as the market, again, is above the 50 SMA on the 30 minute, the market is still in a bullish trend. When we break it down, we look for more downside. So the objective of today's early morning short target of 605.80 was merely to bring the market back down to its over-under decision point. And then if at that point it wants to break down and go into a bearish move, we expect more downside. So if you look at the yellow line, that's the 50 SMA. We get into the 50 SMA. Right here, where's the breakdown of the market? Again, 605.80 was that first initial downside target, which is really just trying to back test a potential support area, see if it gets support. If not, gets weakness, bear market start. So there's your breakdown. Here's your back test. And then here is your continuation of the bearish move once the market breaks down. So in our private group today, we were mainly bearish the market first to look for 605.80. Market open, we're not getting enough weakness in the real time. We deploy the 161 gap and go strategy. After the targets hit, the market rolls. We start to break down the 1 minute selling trend. We recommend watching bearish to 605.80 and lower, obviously, if we break down. At about 10:42, we get the breakdown in the market. That's where I say to the private group and everyone in Discord, hey guys, the market has now entered bearish. You are entirely bearish the market, obviously, unless we recover trend, which would be 605.80. So unless for whatever reason the market's holding above that, and then the bearish move would be off. But again, as long as we're below, you have to be extremely cautious. Anything long bias, you have to be bearish. That's literally the rinse and repeat saying. It's because that's the rules of the market there. So you have a bearish market today because we flipped into a sell signal. Now, we go over to the VIX. This may not look like a whole lot to you, and it's not the cleanest kind of thing, but pretty much what happened today regarding the VIX is we get the market selling off and the market's pulling back, yeah, and so as a result, the market goes down, the market breaks the 50 SMA. As a result, the VIX comes back up, breaks over its 1 hour 50 SMA, breaks over its 30-minute 50 SMA. So as the market's going down, obviously the VIX is going up. And obviously as the market breaks down, 50 SMA, you expect that things can get bearish. And as a result, the VIX goes up. But it's also knowing where those little levels are at on the VIX that also create its own catalyst. So we have the 1 hour and the 30-minute as little catalyst spots for the VIX today. Let me change this over. All right, let's get this to a 1 minute or 5 minute. Let's do a 1 minute. So we'll do that. All right, so right here you can kind of see. I know there's a lot of lines in here, but it's this right here. I'll put a little arrow. So right there, I guess it is a little arrow. And right here. So those two arrows, again, those are the market on the VIX coming back up, breaking over key SMA uptrend start levels. So the first objective is market gets bearish, goes down. So then the VIX back tests the 1 hour. All right. market on the VIX breaks out the 1 hour because the market keeps going down. So essentially the 1 hour chart gets triggered into an uptrend. That's why you kind of see this little two-step Magoo and break out, and then it transitions to the next moving average in sequence, which is the 30-minute. And then you get more breakdown. So the VIX breaks up, market goes down more. So now the 30-minute breaks down, and then here's your back test of the 30-minute uptrend start, hence bounce, go up, etc. So you're getting, so now what you have is you're getting confluence. The market's in a sell signal, and the VIX is breaking up into uptrends. So it's not like the market's going down and the VIX isn't going into uptrends. That would, that's divergence. So today we also had confluence amongst the sell signal on the market, along with contributing confluence buy signals on the VIX. Hence, a little bit more of an aggressive drop. I would accommodate the kind of aggressive drop move, whether you want to say the market should be coming down and it's time, and sure. But what I notice in real time is, yes, we got a sell signal, but also the VIX is acting accordingly. And then we get this big drop. So even though you can even see, even though the VIX isn't really high, right? The VIX isn't very high. It's only in the 13s and 14s. But look at the move we got. It was still very volatile to the downside. And that's because the volatility market was triggering legitimate key level break uptrend starts. So though it's not high, the volatility is being triggered to start producing volatility, aka uptrend starts. Hence, big role in the market today. And then the last little bit of all of this is really going to be going back to the SPY and then just looking at this. So I'm going to go back to I'll use both SPY and SPX, and then I'll take a second look at the chat. I don't have it up right now. You guys may be asking questions. I'm just basically getting through the full spiel of things so you guys can know how we pretty much rode the entire back of this market near pretty much perfect day. The only thing was really wrong was the initial kind of thoughts of getting that 605.80 in the immediate. That was the only thing that was kind of off today, but aside from that, was pretty much on top of this stuff, me and Brandon, so that was cool. All right, so sorry, let me, bang, that's weird. Yeah, I'll put this one there. Go over to SPX because that would have been the breakdown. So then this would be the back test. All right. There's a lot. Let's take this off. And I'm going to take this fib off. And we're going to do this right there. All right, so once we broke down the 50 SMA, of course, that's where we start to deploy some of the micro strategy downsided. So once we get the 30-minute breakdown, more of a medium-term momentum shift in the market down, then we're going to track all the micro down, which then pretty much tells us once the market breaks down, does a back test and starts to move away, we anchor the breakdown, and as long as we stay below the volume weighted average price of the breakdown, then you just don't, you're not going to, it's just counter trend bounce, but no big reversal, right? So you can't, again, that's pretty much it, all right? So you look at the 1 minute, we're looking at the 5 minute. Again, look how clean that 5 minute rejection is. Not that this has to go lower, not that, the point being is just, we're simply taking the key level that broke the market down, tracking the trend, and then there is the counter long back to the breakdown. And the reason that it arguably works well is because it's all about attacking previous market participants' volume, all right? Hence the max pain. Hence the, oh, the market always screws me over. I'm going short and then it squeezes me out, right? And it always feels like it's squeezing me out to like the last level, and then it goes back in the other direction. That's because the market's moving to and from everyone's volume that's participating in the market. Buy side liquidity, sell side liquidity, those kind of things. All right. So that's that, and yeah. So market is pretty much bearish. Yes, we're going through a bounce. Totally normal, but until the market, resets, it doesn't reset, and yeah, so we'll even be looking up to there. So if we really start resetting the 5 minute, which again we'll see, then we would end up targeting up to 605 or 6,059.41. And on the SPY, it would be here, 605.19. But like I said, it's pretty nice bearish move. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So it's funny when I say that's pretty much it, because that's a lot. That's a lot to take in. That's a lot of transitioning with the market in real time for a day. Yeah. Actually, 1 second. I'll be right back. I think I got a phone call coming. Never mind. I heard my wife answer the phone. It's my brother. He can wait. When you are playing the gap up / down retracements, once those levels are hit, are they no longer considered valid levels? No, not necessarily. I think the best way I could describe we'll draw one real quick, and I'll do it on the SPX because that's where we kind of been doing it. So we'll do it like that to that. All right. So the way that I look at this is either, so for specifically a gap up day or gap down day, and you run a fib, right? Pretty much the way this works is, as long as the market is above the 0 line, the fib is intact. And as long as as long as the market hasn't run all the way to the 423, then there's still upside targets that could be used. So the completion point of a gap up, gap down fib for me is the 0 or 423. Where if on the day the market went crazy and rallied all the way out to a 423, then we would say the gap fib for this day is complete. Now, arguably, that means, you went up, you didn't go down. So one would still say that all of these levels are intact. So it's really just a matter of, when you look at the Fibonacci sequence, are we below the 0 line, or did we fully complete to the upside, right? So if we start going below the 0 line, then I don't even consider this fib valid anymore, right? And if we haven't run all the way to the 423, those are in theory still in play. Yeah, and so this would probably be another example. You can kind of confuse yourself with this too. So if we go back to here, this was a fib day. Ready? Watch this. So if I change the color of these settings, use one color. Maybe I'll turn them blue. Yeah, there you go. So if you look at this previous day's gap down, in theory, we just completed that fib today. All right, and it wasn't invalidated. And what I mean is, we had a gap down here, right? We did not go all the way down to here, so we didn't fully use everything it could to the downside. And we neither broke over the 0 to invalidate it. So this gap and this fib is still, it's not that it's going to be used amazingly, it's just that sort of fib is still intact based off the previous day's gap. We neither fully went to the downside, that's possible, nor did we invalidate it to the upside. That is also why we usually recommend going for the 161 when using this approach, because that is the first level that is most likely to hit. You're more like if you went short on this day, it's very unlikely that you'll go 161, 261, 361, 423 without catching a bounce or something like that. It can happen. I've seen it happen. I've seen it go further than that. But the concept is, if you're going to run something. And look at like today. Think about if you bought long and then you try to go to 261 today. You get stuffed at 161 and down. That's just arguably because that's the way the market worked today. But as we said before, it's most logical to always go for the 161. It's the most easily attainable, achievable destination for a gap and go target as shown here. Right? So we would pretty much, and that's the other thing too. So yeah, I mean, at this point, would I really pay attention to this blue fib anymore? No, I really wouldn't. I would just delete this puppy and I'd be like that. Now look at this. Look in the past day, right? We had, was this the CPI day, right? So if you look at the CPI day, what do we have? We had a big gap, and now we're probably just coming down to kind of complete this guy. So if we look at the fib from here, I think it's there to there. It could be here. Let me zoom in. Yeah, it's good. Well, I mean, I can make it a little more accurate. It's like right to there. So if we look at the CPI day, again, what did, and even on the CPI day, I gave this target out on Twitter. I said, hey guys, we're looking for a target 6,075, right? Gap up, go target. Did I tell you 261? No, because I know it's not as reliable. So I gave you the 161, all right? Now, the CPI day gap up target, or gap up fib, did not go to 423. It went to 161, a little higher. Then we're down. And today, we've pretty much done what? We've retraced all the way to 100 fib. We've retraced to the golden pocket. And now we are pretty much completing the zero line, right? So that would pretty much tell me that this fib for CPI, as far as the gap system goes, is irrelevant, really, at this point. Because, again, we went up, we got a nice long target off of it, markets fall apart, it's taken us all the way back down pretty much to the zero line. So, I mean, it's still valid because, again, you haven't gone below. But at the same time, how many fibs are you going to keep on your chart? Is it going to confuse you? Because say this blue fib from CPI is still valid, right? Going into tomorrow or Monday. What if on Monday we open with, say we close right here at this yellow line I'm drawing. Say we close here and then we gap down to here on Monday. Well, then obviously this would be invalidated. Yeah. You know what? Let me rephrase that. Let's do it like this. Say the market bounced up to here. And then on Monday, we gap down and it opens up, say, like here. Well, then I would be running a fib system like this, where I would pull from the open back up to previous day's close. And at that point, we would be targeting this 161 in here, right? So, again, it's kind of one of those things where you're measuring the gap for the day, and it's very possible that tomorrow there will be another gap, or there could be another gap the next day. And so you could have a fib that happened a couple days ago, it'd still be valid, but then you create a new gap the next day, and then you got to fib a new gap. So then you're kind of playing you're playing fib within fib, and eventually you're going to trick yourself up like that because you're trying to compute so much at one time that you could easily trick yourself up, and so on and so forth, right? So that's something you have to consider as far as using those sorts of gaps. So I hope that helps. Hope you learned something a little new there. Hope you like it. Yeah, so you're reading about computers being able to break encryption. So again, there's debate about it. I'm not the smartest person on the topic, but for my little bit of research, I wouldn't even worry about it for right now. Still, even with quantum computing, the quantum computing won't be able to break the current, was it SHA 256, whatever encryption of Bitcoin, or whatever that might be. I'm not the biggest nerd in that space, but yeah, even the current quantum computing, they were saying that it still, wouldn't even break it within 30 years' time. And then also in the initial startup of Bitcoin, Satoshi and the developers and all these people he was talking to, I guess, they've already, they've had this discussion before the mainstream's discussing it. So they've been on the side of, well, what if the advancement of technology and the, computing power, what if it can break the encryption one day? Which is basically if the you know, if the technology advances like that, and then all of a sudden it can break the encryption, you know, the concept was you could just go back to the original block order. We could agree on the original block order, and then I think create a new fork is what it was, and then increase the encryption, right? And then quantum computing, you know, at that point is going to have to do, you know, the same work that miners are doing right now. The other side was if the technology doesn't advance that much and we can see it forthcoming, then we can slowly make the changes well before we even really get into a scenario where the encryption is cracked. And currently, right now, the quantum computing speed and the current hash rate of Bitcoin is still unsolvable by some people's predictions of 30 years. So if the encryption, let's say, based off of current technology, even advancing up till 30 years, it'll take 30 years, then everyone that supports the Bitcoin network and the developers or whatnot have 30 years to increase the work needed to beat the encryption. So we'll be able to basically increase the strength of Bitcoin in that time that even then it won't be able to. So I think right now it's a very, very easily used news tactic, scare piece, you know. So it's just the mainstream media just sending out some more stuff and people making stories about it. So yeah, so it's not, so again, a lot of what's being talked about right now has already been thought about years and years and years in advance about how the advancement of technology could one day get to the point where it could crack the encryption. But I would say based off of what I'm looking at, it's still not going to happen. And then again, the funny side of that, which is the more true side of that, is that even if it could break Bitcoin, then your bank accounts are toast. Everything else that is below Bitcoin is cooked anyways, right? So if you're worried about someone hacking Bitcoin, they've already hacked and stolen everything from your bank account. Hell, probably your 401k, right? So so in terms of that, you know, it's like, that's the funny thing. It's like, yeah, and again, I'm not like the most knowledgeable on the space, but I know enough. And just as Semper said there, they would probably, increase, the ciphers for the encryption. So, and again, if you're worried about them hacking your Bitcoin, they've already stolen your kid's college fund and spent it on a Lambo with quantum computing hacking. So your banks are more susceptible more than ever before, therefore making Bitcoin even better than before, because with quantum computing, again, your bank accounts are now far more easily hackable than Bitcoin, which would then tell you that you should be moving even more, right? In theory, if that was your absolute fear in the world, was quantum computing hacking Bitcoin, then you'd already be moving your money from your bank to Bitcoin, if that was the true fear that kept you up at night, because you'd be better off securing it there than you would be in your bank. Yeah, exactly. Then all your information goes to, again, they could, every computer's hacked. Every time you had to upload a photo ID to like one of the websites to create an account and you left it somewhere, they got that. If you ever sent an email with a social security number to someone or whatever, anything, on a website, they got that. So what's the answer? Buy more Bitcoin. I have no idea, but so I wouldn't put too much thought into it. I would put thought into it, but I wouldn't be too nervous about it. So let's get into some Bitcoin actually. We're pretty much good on the market. We've covered that. Most on the internet will not know that we were in a sell signal today at 1042, probably trying to buy dips, then got roasted. If you hang out with BRT, you'd know that was the opposite until you stay short buy. So cheers to that. But yeah, Bitcoin. Actually, I want to bring up a little clip on YouTube, and we're all gonna hold hands and watch it together real fast. But give me a second, I have to pull it up because I think it's kind of comical. Kind of funny too, but it'll take me a second to get this link. It is somewhere. All right, so I'm going to bring this over.
What you actually get is
I'll actually post the link, so if you guys don't want to watch it through the stream, you can actually just watch it yourselves. But I'm going to turn up the volume on my computer, and then we are going to watch this real quick. So hopefully the volume, I'm going to turn up the volume quite a bit here, so hopefully it's not too loud, but it should be okay.
What you actually get is this, right? You'll get a move.
So hopefully that's good. But really the point of this is kind of what we talked about on stream, because the thing is we always talk about a lot on stream, and it's like it's 2 hours long, and no one's going back through to see that a lot of the time. So took a little clip yesterday of what we were talking about. You can kind of expect on Bitcoin up at the daily resistance long target.
What you actually get is this, right? You'll get a move into the target, and you'll see initial resistance. But then the market sets up, this kind of flag-looking top, right? You try to get pattern traders in that move, and then boom, like that. So to me, it kind of looks like they're setting up set up basically some sort of wedge, maybe some sort of flag-looking pattern on the top that might be convincing some pattern traders to get involved there. And a lot of times that can then lead to a rollover, so on and so forth. It doesn't have to, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily be looking extremely long bias there in the moment. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. What you actually get is this, right? You'll get a move.
All right, so that was basically talking about, what you can expect with that pattern development on the high with Bitcoin, first attempt into resistance, and, pretty much there it is. You can see there, set up pattern, boom, like that. So, and that was simply because, partly because we, and we discussed this a little bit yesterday too, it was pretty much when you look at the 4 hour, the 1 hours, the 2 hours, they had not yet had a reset, right? So they kind of needed one of those pullback, reset, attempted higher low scenarios, which you just didn't get until obviously the market tops and does a little bit of a rollover, right? So you can kind of see here, I mean, there's one of them. This one, again, like I said, wasn't the most easily identifiable one, but that's pretty much the gist of it. You can see, again, you had whatever looking, I don't even know what you would call this, but, sort of like a flaggish whatever, and then roll over, dump down towards 4 hour, 1 hour, 3 hour trend stuff. And now this is that 3 hour, 1 hour, 4 hour bounce, which is really just coming back to a lower high off that previous 4 hour top. So that's how we're deriving this resistance here, is we're taking the previous drop and then looking at, again, if the bears were going to hold this market down, where would they have to hold the resistance / lower high? And then that would be here at 101,200 bucks. So if we go into a 5 minute, you can see that rejection here. This rejection is simply this was a sell off to say 4 hour, 2 hour stuff, then bounce to lower high 4 hour. So arguably the same tactic we were using, kind of tracking the 4 hour breakout bounce to the upside, which would be here. Sorry. Wow. I mean, I got to use the yellow stuff every once in a while, but it just gets a little annoying. So yeah, we're kind of looking at sort of like the 4 hour break point a little bit. It's not perfect. So again, we're using some 4 hour stuff to track it up. We said, well, where was the 4 hour rejection to start? And this is kind of that 4 hour shift, break, anchor. That would be your lower high 4 hour attempt. So those that are basically using the 4 hour scale right now, and we're trying to be bearish, right? Came in and their first attempt 4 hour reject. All right. Still really no follow, not a big follow through and breakdown, but that again, that's that next 4 hour sequence roll spot. Again, all small stuff. We're still looking for the market to go up. Let's see if our price targets have changed much. They probably didn't change a whole lot, but probably some bit. Where is it at? What am I doing? There we go. Oh, well, that's weird. Why wouldn't it? That makes, oh, I see why, because I have this on here. Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, we're looking at the upsided stuff. Okay, so we are looking, well, this is a little, yeah, 127. It's still basically the same stuff. 125, 140,000 there. Let me double check it on the futures though. Yeah, 125, 140. Again, if we stay upsided into next week, really no pullbacks, then that's going to adjust probably by another 5,000. So we could be looking at 130 to 145,000 on the long target for Bitcoin. Yeah. Actually, I can kind of figure that out. 1 second. It'll be a little bit, but let's see. But I think the adjustments are moving by about 5,000 at a time right now per week. Yeah, the weekly adjustments right now are moving at about, I guess it's debatable, but yeah, we probably have to go to the middle of that. So it's 133.8 to 130. Yeah, I mean, they're moving at about 5,000, give or take. But yeah, they're moving anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000 right now. So that means that next week we're going to be looking at, well, yeah, basically 130,000 to 145,000 for the Bitcoin price target update. What time is it? 12:07. Oh, you guys hear that neck crack? Oh, that's good stuff. That's why my neck is so jacked up. Because I'm addicted to cracking my neck. Yeah, that's kind of it. Also, I guess we'll talk about this too. Little Twitter recommendation. So, real quick, we'll kind of cover this a bit. So, post this up last night to Twitter, basically talking about, you know, some AMD semiconductor market. So AMD, Nvidia. So this is kind of an example of where the market on AMD, Nvidia single equities are starting to get a little positive on their trend. So therefore, we might be able to boost the market up a little bit on a long. Again, this is all individual stock stuff, so it's going to be far more volatile than you would say like the SPY system. So just basically posting that we're kind of close to starting uptrends, and then obviously the yellow line, I believe, I'd have to double check, but I think the yellow line is where it starts the uptrend. I could figure that out real quick. Hold on. Nvidia, yep, 137, yeah, yep. So pretty much the yellow line on the bottom here last night is where Nvidia started a little bit of a micro uptrend, if you will. So kind of saying like, hey, there's your target for this little breakout uptrend move. Here is it with Nvidia. So same thing with Nvidia. I don't have the 50 SMA mapped off there, but again, that 138.88 pretty much going to be your target. And then I think it's this next post. Yeah. So right here we get into here on AMD short-term positive trend change here. Look, you can see how it kind of explodes up there because again, that's the breakout back test of the uptrend 50 SMA start on AMD. Hence your breakout, then your kind of wedgie, whatever, up target hit. Same thing there with NVIDIA. And then obviously if you go and look into today, those both pretty much tanked. So 1 second, let's get into that. So you can see here, NVIDIA pretty much just tanks, which, hold on, I'm going to put on our price target for that long again. So it'd be right here to here. So based off that little after hours trend positive break, again, the target for that long for NVIDIA was here. And then if you look at today's market, what ended up happening, we go into a sell signal. And actually, I even said that too. The risk is the market going into a sell signal for that long. But anyways, you can see the target wasn't mentioned of going super high or too far because it just didn't make sense. Those are the targets. So if we go look at AMD, same scenario. 1 second, regular trading hours, and we're going to go derive the target here. Alrighty, extended trading hours. So, and then this here was the target long for AMD. All right, and then it tanks, right? So again, a lot of times your long targets will be short entries, and short entries will be long targets, as we kind of discussed a little bit yesterday. But yeah, so that would simply just be kind of showing you guys a little bit of an uptrend start in the short-term 30-minute, and then running it up to a long target, which is derived from the previous 30-minute sell levels. So that's why I derived those as the long targets, and there you have it. Pretty cool stuff. And then obviously you can see they tanked. And if you go look at the market, look at our market today, market tank. So, okay. Not bad. Not too bad. And then also, yeah, too, where's Twitter? I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Well, actually, I guess it does matter because it's all a part of it. So right here, okay. So talking about the long targets, see how I have the targets on the screen here, target, and then what's the title of the text? Risk. Market is in sell op. So at the time of that long move, the market was actually bearish. We went into a bullish move, then back to a bearish move, but concept being is that obviously if the market doesn't stay bullish and it goes into a sell operation, then usually your equities are at risk, right? So even though you have a long target and that's a target destination, be careful of what? Markets entering selling operations, right? Because usually equities don't perform very well when the market's in a selling operation, all right? So when you're calling a long, but also see risk of a selling operation, which was the fact that we're slightly bearish yesterday, and then you can see today, where does the market enter a selling operation? Again, we did this and it was at 10:52 or 10:54, or wait, no, was it earlier? 10:20, something like that. So anyways, right at about, is that right? Yeah, I guess that's it. Wait, no, that's not right. It's up here. Something ain't right here. I must have used the wrong time frame there. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong yellow line too, right? So yeah, the market enters a selling move here at 10:04 a.m. So at 10:04 a.m., again, markets are bearish. It's going to be hard for you to expect your equities to do really well. So even if we go, if we go look at Apple, NVIDIA, all of these guys, it's all going to be the same thing. These all got cooked, right? So again, you got to be multifaceted, look at a couple different things. Yeah. Yeah, MSTR, that was a falling wedge breakout. Yeah, MSTR, PLTR, rumored to be added to the NASDAQ 100. Yeah, that always usually causes some short-term excitement, things of that nature. Speaking of MSTR, let's go take a little gander. Not really doing much, Not really surprised either. Actually, looks like we had a... All right, yeah, so again, this is another way, we talked about MSTR on the day that it had a little bit of a long move. So again, back here, and I'll highlight all of this. So again, you'll see here, MSTR, and I don't even need to, I mean, I could, but then you're always kind of flipping, but I could just do it on Thinkorswim. That way I don't have to keep kind of going back and forth screens. It'll make things a little bit easier on everyone. So I'll do that real quick. Okay, so if we bring over this guy, where are you at? Oh yeah, that's the whole point of doing this. I can just do that. Boom. Alright, so we're going to look at MSTR just for a second, right? So you can even see I have an arrow there. So the point of this is just that you can see where the market entered an uptrend on MSTR. So it was right here. So you see how we break the 50 SMA. And if you look at the screen on the right, you'll see the line populate. And I'll actually make the line bigger so you guys can see it better. Edit properties, width 5, boom. All right. So right where that, again, that horizontal line's at, that's where MSTR enters an uptrend the other day. All right. And then you'll see it bounces right here. I'm going to put an arrow. See how it bounces right there and then arguably bounces right here? What's right there? Again, it's the 50 SMA trend. So if you look at screen left, 50 SMA tag. I have to edit that, change that to 5, and then save as default. Cool. So that's your 50 SMA tag. What's right here? It's your 50 SMA. Even though it shies it a little bit, that's your 50 SMA. So what you have here over the past couple days on MSTR is an uptrend. All right, so you had your breakout. So market goes up, breaks out, and then market gets weakness, falls over, and then hits 50 SMA trend, bounce, sold off today, trend, bounce. So currently MSTR is on the positive side of trend, and the markets have been using the support to bounce the market past couple days. And if you look at what was the gain on this breakout? So from the uptrend start, it hits a high of, it was about an 8% gain for MSTR on that uptrend move over the 30-minute, before at least getting, some big degree of weakness. And then from there, it's had, a 4% bounce. Not bad. Yeah, so MSTR, just kind of hanging out. That's what I was kind of talking about a while ago is that, MSTR market arguably kind of front ran Bitcoin. Got a little excited there. So we're still waiting for, obviously if Bitcoin goes to 140 something, 150, we're probably going to see that MSTR market pick up again. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on. Personally, for anything MSTR, bigger concept, bigger move would be, we basically just need Bitcoin to start picking up, moving, going up. And then as a result, we'll probably see MSTR get some follow through. Yeah. Again, that's why we pretty much had this top and then it pulls back and it stayed down, while you've seen Bitcoin pretty much go up top but not really come down. It's kind of grinding up. I would just say MSTR just got a little too excited, a little too ahead of time. And that's mainly because markets are forward-looking, greedy, euphoric, and, emotional. That's pretty much it. MSTX, MSTU, yep, cheaper options. Yeah, absolutely, I know those two. So, I'm looking at, was it MSTZ? Maybe, is that the one? I think MSTZ is the inverse daily. Yeah. So this guy, yeah, so I'll be looking at pretty much, we're pretty much setting up for in my opinion, we're setting up for a big long on MSTZ because let's just say, right, market cycles repeat on Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up, hits long targets, blah 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 blah. In the next 200 300 days, Bitcoin market tops, goes into a bear market, then obviously we're going to be looking for MSTZ to blow up. So basically, we're going to use MSTZ long for the next bear market move on Bitcoin, and then MSTR depreciation in price. So that's basically a long I see setting up on MSTZ. Probably still early. And the reason I say that is you really, I think we really want to see Bitcoin go into a bear market move before we try to do anything on this 2x inverse, ETF, things like that, because of the nature of, the leveraged ETF in that regard. But I do see MSTZ offering a pretty good return and potential return given a bear market on Bitcoin. MSST, actually I don't even know that was the MSST 10. Ooh, kind of like the way this one. I mean, you can literally, they're pretty much the same thing. I'm just looking at this. I mean, we'd go, I guess it doesn't really matter, because even if we go from here to here, that's a 360% gain. And that, oh, no wonder why they're, that's funny. I have them linked. MSTZ. So it was 366 there. So if we do here, that's about 230. Yeah, really at this point it just comes down to maybe, more expensive, less expensive. When I'm looking at the price action, it's almost nearly identical. So I just really see it as an option of more expensive or less expensive to get involved. And the other thing too is I'm really hoping that we hit the long target on Bitcoin and that causes MSTR to go up more, and then this even gets a little cheaper, because again we're at 89 cents, but I could see if we push out the Bitcoin market, we might get this down to the 60s, 50 cent. I mean, we'll see. And then if we really get a bear market, you could be picking this up in the pennies and running it into the dollars. So I think that's a good setup potentially on the way. So don't start front running that and ruin it. Come on, shitcoin. Shitcoin is what I call Bitcoin just for fun, but yeah, I mean, obviously it sounds dumb saying it, but obviously Bitcoin's got to go up for it to go up, right? But we do need to get over this 102 wait, yeah, I don't know, it's like 102,000 something, basically over 102,000, and we can start to reboost the market up on Bitcoin. And when I say that, it's probably not going to happen. Maybe it will. It's really just, again, a key level that if taken out can kind of start activating some more upside. But as we said before, the market likes to do what? It likes to go like a this. So unless it's breaking out, running with momentum, when that decides to happen, things don't go in a straight line. They do exactly what we, looked at yesterday, which they go up and then they reset, right? So even though that's what I mean is if we actually break out and start running, then what's going to happen is the markets won't do resets on their bigger time frames. They'll do micro resets and then keep going up and then keep going up, right? So it's a matter of getting out of, some of this back and forth all-time high stuff and then picking up some momentum. That way we can start kind of trending out the micro, shorter term time frames in real time and getting out of the larger daily 4-hour, 2-hour, 3-hour reset stuff. Looks like the market, I don't know what the market's doing, probably going down. Yep, going down. Oh, yeah. Also, if you're the market, yeah. So we're even looking for this to come down to this price. I forgot to mention this. But yeah, for a successful sell signal, it would be hard to take out this low, then go here. So first we're looking at SPX down to this level here, which pretty much matches up with that low. But we're kind of looking at, even this coming down to about 6,033. Could very well happen today. I mean, it's really not that far off. This was mentioned in the private chat a little while ago. It's just another key level. If you take the previous bull market cycle move on the market, it's just simply looking at that. So again, if we take, right, so look at, ready, market's bearish, false break, Market is bullish, goes into a buy signal, right? What's the volume weighted average price of the buy signal? It's right here. Hence kind of that last bounce last time here, right? And now a roll to it here. So there's a good chance we're going to go down and get that target. Especially because we already kind of bounced here before, so it's kind of like almost to go get it again. But anyways, you're kind of scratching at peanuts there at this point. You're kind of scratching at your nuts at that point, you know? Also, what would be fun is tracking. So let's just kind of play around here and go look at, you know, some of the... So AMD is a good one. NVIDIA is a good one because we just talked about those last night. So these are kind of some cool ones to look at this morning for, you know, short-term momentum. Wait, that's Microsoft. There we go. Short-term momentum stuff. That's where it was, yeah. All right, so let's not look at the long side anymore with this because obviously it's bearish after we did that little mini long last night to target. So real quick, here's the 50 SMA, which basically means this is support, then over under breakdown level right there. So we know last night NVIDIA got a little bit bullish, announced a target of here. Those that control the market pretty much ran it to the price target, so thank you. And then market was not strong enough today, whatever, market comes down. What's it do? It pretty much goes down right to what? The 50 SMA. So again, if this here, 1 second, is the breakout. So here is our breakout yesterday, run to target long, then it dumps where? Back down to the reason for the breakout, the 50 SMA. And then there's your bounce, market on NVIDIA trying to hold support, fails. Now NVIDIA enters a selling trend here. So again, literally just last night, we're in a long trend, and now today we're in a sell trend. So that's how things can shift, and someone on the internet could be like, you're an idiot, you said it was long, and now look at it. And it's like, true, but we were long because of uptrend. Now we'd be bearish because of downtrend. And that's how fast markets can shift. And then also, alongside of that NVIDIA move, and I know that when I'm sitting here on stream mentioning it to you guys, I mean, this downtrend on NVIDIA started at pretty much the same time the market broke down. So this is at 10:20, which is again is the same time the SPY went into a downtrend. So it's like, duh. Right, so it's funny that the downtrend on the market also lines up with the downtrend start on NVIDIA. I'll have to remember that from next time. That might be a catalyst for bigger drops than some other stocks. That actually might be something I just learned right now that makes more sense as to maybe why this drop was so much more aggressive. Might be because the time of the 50 SMA breakdown on NVIDIA was the exact same time. I'll draw a cute little clock. Was the exact same time as the SPY downtrend start. So it's like double downtrend right there. That might be something to add to the toolbox. Okay. I didn't mean to delete all that off. I just wanted to take off this. And then I need to, I don't know, do this. Let's take all that off. Yep, so there's your downtrend, obviously. Oh, and then you can see here, see how I'm already anchored? Remember earlier I was like, hey guys, this is where the 50 SMA and it bounces, right? So during the day I was looking at NVIDIA here, and I actually said on the private stream, like, hey guys, we're at the 50 SMA, NVIDIA's going to go through a bounce, it's going through a bounce. And that's purely because we're back testing, so was looking at the anchor up here, right? Because the concept is if NVIDIA was going to hold support, bounce, and then not break down or perform the bounce upsided, A, you'd think the market's not going to go into a sell signal, but B, you would expect what? That NVIDIA holds some of that bounce signal trend, which right here, what happens? It fails. Boom, right? So if we know that the 50 SMA support and we start to support it, we don't want to go back below our volume weighted average price of our low of day and all of our dip buy trend of that support, but it does end up happening, and then there's the stop out. That then leads to the 50 SMA break along with the spot in the bearish market. All right. So what we would end up doing then is we would reverse the process, and we'd now start anchoring here at the breakdown, which arguably is any one of these candles. Here, and I would even use this guy here, and pretty much the name of this game here with Nvidia is that it's just downsided, obviously, until it gets through some of that 1 minute trend. Now you can see in this instance the sell-off in Nvidia is so strong that it's never retraced the 1 minute sell trend for an entry short. It's just dived down. When you start to see this, I say it's called you have to chase the price strategy, right? You start to chasing it, right? It's going down, and even this, someone might call that a retrace to the level, which it kind of is. And actually, I see where I'm making a mistake too. We should be anchored to the breakdown of the previous structure low here. I am making a mistake. So you could get this first low, but you have to make sure you do the 50 SMA strategy along with the price structure break low chase strategy there. So then you'd basically be looking at the pop to short zone on this Nvidia setup from here to here initially. And then obviously, since this was a false low, so market comes down, puts in a false low, pops short, and then takes out everyone buying that dip, whatever, down, you would then anchor to this high to chase price down. And it doesn't work. Well, I mean, it does work because you're supposed to anchor the high and the split. So if we anchor the high and we anchor the split on the 1 minute micro, then you're going to get that tag. All right, most likely off by a penny. So then that would be your next micro 1 minute pop to short. And then we'd repeat the process, which would be from this guy down along with the split, which would be here. And again, you kind of shy that a little bit, but you get a good idea, right? So this would be down, and then you even have a lower high here you could anchor to, but I can already see it gets broken right there, right? So then that would be your next what? Pop, counter trend, kind of resistance area. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much everything that's took place on Nvidia today. Yeah, Nvidia's definitely been weak. We got a sell move in the market. AMD is another good one to review because that had a breakdown today. So look at AMD. So right here was the 50 SMA breakout yesterday. So yesterday, this was the break of the 50 SMA. So I'll actually get a little cute here. We'll put this on a 5 minute. Okay, watch. So yesterday we get a break on AMD over the 50 SMA here. So that's turning the market bullish. And then you even get a cute little 5 minute flag pattern over the support that then breaks out, right? And then I have a target to here. And we run it to target. All right? Market gets bearish off that target. Whatever, it starts selling down. The SPY, it's selling down. Things are going down today. Equities aren't performing that great. So what ends up happening? The market on AMD, right? So it was long over trend, goes up to here. Market opens a day. It's all bearish. What's it do? It slams it back down to what? The 50 SMA, which was the long spot once we get over and hold above. Now we break down the 50 SMA, so AMD is bearish as long as it's below the 50 SMA, and then this pop is your back test to the 50 SMA. So that's your lower high below bearish trend. So that's market goes bearish, back test, lower high down. All right. So we effectively flipped the market back to bearish on AMD in the short term, hence the breakdown and sell. If we go to a 1 minute, you'll get a little bit more action on it. You can see down, break, down. So you'll even see you see how I have an anchor there this morning? So I was already starting from the breakdown, starting to track it. Here's a little tidbit for you. when you get a first initial breakdown on any stock or the SPY or pretty much anything along this strategy, so this is the initial break, that's the initial back test. If for whatever reason you start getting over that, a lot of times you'll squeeze out the early kind of short and then do the full back test of the 50, and then the trend will start. So not all the time. Sometimes you'll break and then you'll just go. Kind of like Nvidia today, right? So Nvidia, it just broke and went. It never retraced the 50 SMA breakdown. All right, it just is what it is. But if you look at AMD, AMD does in fact break down, retrace to sell trend, reject, then get squeezed out, back to the back test, then breaks down. So then again, we would pretty much do what? We would move this here and we would repeat the process where we anchor the breakdown, all right? So then right here would be the first retrace to that 1 minute trend. And like I said before, if the market just goes into a sell move kind of like it did today, you might need to use the 1 minute chase strategy. And then again, if you use the 1 minute chase strategy and to equities, it would look like that. Top, down, right? And then you'd anchor here. And then that would be your lower high, right? And then you'd anchor here, and you'd anchor this, and then you'd have to anchor the breakdown split, which would be that, arguably this one, and there would be your next one, so on and so forth, right? If we take this guy and we anchor here, right, along with the split candle, which would be that guy, again, there's your lower high, and then you go here, and you anchor here, so on and so forth, you get the point. So that's how you track the legs on the downside and the micro, and it's really any time frame, 30-minute, hourly, daily. It's all the same stuff, really. It's the same process, just from larger to smaller, larger to smaller. So this is probably like a 5-minute rejection, honestly. Yeah. So this would be more of a 5-minute sell trend rejection, right? So you can see that this is where market goes bearish, back test, anchor, track, selling trend. That's your first back test of the 5-minute sell trend, and then back down, which obviously would be accommodated with the market bounce. So if I go look at the SPY again, look at it's literally almost the same thing, right? You see that? This is a 5-minute chart. Where was our 50 SMA breakdown on the market today? It's right where I'm anchored, so that would be right around there, right? So where's the breakdown? 50 SMA, boom. Where's the back test? Bounce, 5-minute sell trend, still bearish. As per the strategy, when we go into a sell move, you look to stay below the 1 and the 5-minute sell trend on the same day for continuation. So this would be your down, bounce, down. There was a gentleman in here earlier, and I can find it. I know I can find it. I can find it right there. KKP. KKP, if you're still in here. Gentleman says, now bounce. V, full recovery to high a day. Let's go. All right? At the time of that comment, I said this is probably not a day where you want to look for that, mainly because you're in a bearish move. So you'd have to, for whatever reason, be able to reverse the bearish trend versus trying to do a V recovery on a day where the market's in a bullish trend, right? Where it pulls back to a low, and then you buy a low, and then it goes back to highs. That is more attainable on a day where the market's in a bullish trend and going from a dip buy versus a day here where we're actually in a selling trend, and this is still just a counter long until proven otherwise, right? It could have V reversaled, but again, you're trading against the trend at that point, trying to do a V reversal. You would be better off just trying to do a bounce back to the bearish trend and then join back to bear trend, right? Or you'd be better off just not even buying the bounce and just waiting for a retrace to short since you're in a bearish trend. That would be the other side of it. So we do just, again, have a bear market trend. I think the SPX probably got our target pretty close there. Let's see. Not quite. Almost. That'd be 6,032. Which, again, it's debatable, but we're probably going. Sometimes it's kind of challenging because we've almost already done a first attempt there. So I'm debating whether or not we should be looking for a long bounce when we get the 6,033.06. If we go into a full-fledged selling move over the next week, like into next week, which anything is possible, we're then going to be looking. If we do a full-fledged sell move reset, we would end up seeing prices of like, 5,988. If we do the SPY, it's going to be definitely different than that. Trading. I don't think we will, but again, not that I don't think we will, it's just too soon for us to really think that's going to happen. We need to activate more prices and trigger more things for this to happen, but even this guy, it's not as easy to do a reset. It's not as easy to do a reset of the buy moves. It's always easier to reset short sellers than it is long traders. So that's why I'm not as on board with doing, calling and expecting the full-on reset for long. But when it's a short move, I call it more often that way. But even 597.10, again, that's something that becomes active once we take out everyone that's been long the market for the last buy signal. So once you can actually get below there, we can activate down to here. But until then, that, again, hasn't happened. And you would actually be looking for slight support holds around this level. Also, if we look at the market internals today, which I'll bring it over here. If you look at the market internals, it should have just flipped there on the chart. And if you look at market internals today, they're bearish. But what I'm looking at too is when selling moves have more legs to them or they have more strength, you're generally going to see that they are on the negative side of trend. So if we look at the market internals, think of the market internals the same way you do the 50 SMA, right? So you see how the market internals are actually down below that blue line on these charts, that's the 50 SMA. So the market internals themselves, the advancing declining issues of the NASDAQ are actually in negative trend right now. So you have a bearish move on the market, you have the VIX in a buy signal, and you have negative trend across every single advancing declining issues market that at least are on my screen. You can see here even the FANG have rolled and they're below trend. The NYSE is below trend, and you can see here, we were above, right? Then we're down. So it's not that that's like a holy grail system, and then it's going to give you tell you the future, but that's just something I noticed and didn't think about. So, anyways, as the market comes into this 6,032 area on SPX, generally you're supposed to be looking for a little bit of a bounce. So I can't recommend you're trying to short into that low. Obviously, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, or like Justin said, or you just get into the BRT private room and you start your short earlier on in the day when it makes sense to short. But you gotta be in the team for that. You gotta be in the group. See, that's the thing. Is like basically by the time I hop on here, it's more or less a review session of everything that's already taken place. And that we've already looked at doing. But I appreciate that, Justin. Justin knows. Justin's the boy. Justin's been in our chat room for a long time. And I think, he'll probably be able to tell you we do a fairly good job at analyzing the market, letting you know how things can move and where they can go to. So, yeah. Wait, what did I just do that for? I don't want to do that. Where did my... I must have accidentally deleted it somehow. Don't know how, but I did. Yeah, that link will be the first link in the description if you guys need. Then again, I don't think, most of you guys here you're not necessarily new traders, right? So you probably already got a lot of knowledge under your belt, things like that. I wouldn't say YouTube likes to present our materials to the newest group of traders. I would say that, the newer traders in the market are going to be more attracted to like a bull flag or a pattern, just like we're all guilty of when we first start. And that's mainly because that's kind of how the marketing, algorithms and flow of the industry takes you. They usually kind of have a path for you to follow in the industry, and it does not start with here, right? It doesn't start with you knowing buy and sell signals, gap and go extension targets. Again, how to track market participation volume, lower high, higher low, things like that. They generally want to get you into something like this, you know, patterns, look for support breakdowns, which are, you know, something like, whatever. So again, the normal flow is generally not going to be here. It's going to be bull flags, you know, make 16,000% on this penny stock because of this flag pattern that, you know, so that's going to be the normal flow first a lot of times. So therefore, a lot of the people that have been here in this stream for a long time have gotten a lot of advanced knowledge in the market, and so on and so forth. How much money did you lose today? None. Well, that might not be true. Well, I guess some, because Bitcoin went down a little bit. Yeah, I was going to say as far as far as the market today, we did a pretty good job at staying on the right side of the trend and navigating pretty much everyone to be bearish the market today, and then stay bearish the market today. So as far as the direction, and it really wasn't that confusing of a day, even though we started up and then it went down, and that's, you know, for the most part, it really wasn't a confusing day. Yesterday was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but we knew it was kind of confusing, and it would probably be that way. But as far as today, really, no money lost, actually just money gained. And as far as our private group, I would say most of them were on the right side of the trend. Now, how everyone's individual trading goes can always be different at times, but as far as being on the right side and understanding the market and where it could go to, we did a really good job at nailing that. Even nailed the high a day target too. Our high a day, which again, it wasn't like this was supposed to be the high a day target and resistance. We just know that when we have a gap, we gotta always give the gap and go targets the time of day. So our first intraday target gap level would be here, 161.6078, right? So it just so happens that our gap and go target ended up topping the market today, but that's not usually the case. I wonder if we go to... No, I'm just going to double check some stuff for myself. Just going to see the searchability of the stream. Probably not so good. Hey, finally. We've caught on. Well, actually, that's not true, because obviously the market went down, so all of my long-term accounts, like Roth and all that stuff, actually did lose money. So what I just said was completely false. Wasn't really thinking of those at the time, but yeah. So yeah, definitely lost money today, for sure. Almost everybody in the world lost money today in that regard. Which, again, you know, what do you expect, right? Let's do a little review, okay? You have the volatility index is in an uptrend. All right, the uptrend on the volatility index arguably started on the hourly to here. So this is where our uptrend start on the volatility index started today. Pretty much up and through those two yellow lines. That's where the uptrend starts. You see how the price action is moving, right? Break up, pull back, higher low, and go, right? So that's uptrend start there. But it's also built off the back of the market, obviously going in a downtrend, right? And that downtrend start for the market, again, was today at 10:02, 10:14, somewhere in there, 10:14 a.m. That's where the markets on SPY or SPX entered a downtrend. So naturally, you would think most people are going to lose money on the day when you don't have equity markets appreciating and they're depreciating or going down. Yep. So yeah, I'm going to do just a quick run through on a lot of the big names, just kind of map off their over-under trends and then do a small little review on those, and then we will probably call it a day. But before we do that, let's go through the heat map. What do you know? Some big names are getting cooked. Microsoft cooked, Nvidia cooked, Google cooked, kinda, Meta cooked, AVGO. They really just used, I personally, I mean, I think AVGO got that news with Apple about something about working on the microchips or something, quantum computing chips maybe, and then it kind of boosted up on the news, but I really just think that they kind of used earnings as a disguise for that news move, so you kind of had to hold through earnings if you wanted to get that news break move, so kind of scummy there, but that's how the market usually is. So yeah, let's see, a lot of, it's kind of mixed. Tesla's actually doing okay, interestingly. Well, not really, but yeah. So that's that crypto heat map. How's that going today? Bitcoin green, Litecoin not so good, Ethereum barely green, just by a hair or so. So kind of a slight mixed market there. Sector tracker. Who's the worst? Communication services today, along with materials. Who's the biggest laggard in this? EA, Electronic Arts, down. Same thing with Para. Those are going to be your two biggest decliners in that sector this morning. Materials. Who's the biggest loser? NUE and ALB. Along with STLD. Those are going to be your Steel Dynamics. Those are going to be your biggest losers there. And then let's look at the technology. Broadcom crushing this morning. SMCI, biggest loser. AMD and Nvidia, biggest losers right here. ADBE, biggest losers. Then again, it's not really too surprising. All right, so let's go take a little peek ski. 30-minute trend, regular trading hours. Yep. So again, you know, Apple started a little bit of a sell move, so we'll take a look at that. Nvidia, we already did that. Microsoft, arguably starting a little bit of a sell move, so on and so forth. And when I say sell move, again, this is just, you can think of it as short-term momentum below key moving averages. So you got a little bit of a transition negative on Amazon. Meta's getting a little negative, and obviously you guys are probably like, well, duh, the market's going down. It's like it's all one big story, right? So VIX goes long, market goes bearish, market stays bearish enough, causes stocks to go down enough so that they break their 50 SMA, then they trigger sells, which then further expedites the move to the downside. So it's all a big kind of thing there. TSM, which is kind of, it's comical. Look at this. What scumminess. It's actually kind of funny. They run up INTC a bit. They even run up TSM a bit, but then throw down, you know, AMD and Nvidia. So maybe too many eyes on that one. Went to the secondary markets there. Gonna use that for next time around. UNP started a little bit of a long move today. So we'll look at all of these that make sense, that are kind of transitioning today. J&J, no. Visa, no. Netflix, yeah. So Netflix got a little bearish today. When I say bearish, I mean it's triggered sell right there. That would have been the target. So a little more. AMD, we did that. UPS. UPS is just kind of ugly looking. Not going to mess with that. Honeywell, this one I mean, it's kind of meh. I'm not going to mess with that. PG, that's kind of interesting. That could be starting a little bit of a top with a rejection. And then obviously if it wants to transition positive in the next day or two, there has the opportunity. So we'll start here, Apple. So now we're going to zoom into the 1 minute, time the breakdown. And there it is. All right, so this is this morning pre-market. Apple's above, and then Apple flips below right there. That's the 50 SMA, and then there's your bearish move. Microsoft. There's Microsoft below its 50 SMA, so Microsoft looks like it starts today, opens up. Hold on. All right, that's 9. Oh, 9:30 we're on support. So at 9:30, Microsoft opens on support, bounces down, bounce, down, fail, lower high, down. So there's your transition negative on Microsoft today. Amazon right there. See that yellow line? That's the Amazon breakdown. So this morning, 9:30, it's on support, no breakdown, bounce, down, breakdown, lower high below, sell. Meta, same jazz. Opens near support, bounce, down, break support, just flush. UNP, long, right? So UNP was up, below, resistance, break above, pullback, go. So it's a matter of really just watching some of your favorite stocks in real time, and as they start to get that love above or below, that's the transition, and your objective is just to be in on trend, as best you can. Honeywell. So you can see with Honeywell, right? So Honeywell, this morning opened up. Wait, is that this morning? No, that doesn't make sense. It was this. So Honeywell actually opened up well below support or resistance, and then got bought up. Well, I guess it'd be both, well below support and resistance. But anyways, so then it got bought up, right? And then it broke out. Back test, attempt to go, fail. So Honeywell, just in this case, you would say isn't ready for the long, which then means you would have bet bearish. If you're like, well, it's not going to be long and it's going to go bearish, then this would be the breakdown. That would be the back test, and you'd be shorting there for a move down. And then obviously your stop would be over 50 SMA, because then it could transition positive. And so that's how you look at that. What about PG? Did I do... Wait, Honeywell was the one I was like, oh yeah, I'm not going to mess with, but I guess I did. PG, same thing. Pretty much same thing as Honeywell. Which is, again, 9, 10. Yeah, so basically long press up to 50 SMA, break, hold, and chop. And so this is just not quite clear what it doesn't want a long breakout yet, right? So that means obviously trend kind of stops and stays down. Is the market about... Oris, no worries. Yeah, is the market about to go... wait, is the market not about to go up again? That's an interesting way of saying it. It's kind of a tongue twister for my brain. I mean, the market's in a bearish... We're in a bear market today, so the market is, in theory, supposed to be going down today. That's actually... That's the thing, is it's supposed to actually go down. Everything in the market says down. Yeah, I mean, the VIX is in a buy signal, market's in a sell signal. You had multiple tech stocks today start sell moves. You had Apple go into a sell move, Nvidia go into a sell move, Microsoft into a sell move, Amazon into a sell move, Meta into a sell move. So not only is the market going down, but you also have the underlying equities, especially in the tech, also going into sell moves, right? So again, right now things should be going down. It totally makes sense for them to go down. That would make more sense for it to not go up, I guess. Speaking of, let me go take a peek at good friend Tesla. Man. Oh boy. I think I want to go hit some golf balls today. It's been a little while. When Lambo. My next Bitcoin trade, maybe. Though actually maybe. But I would have to nail it perfect. But maybe, you never know. But even then I probably wouldn't even buy a Lambo. I'd probably just take the money that I could buy a Lambo with, and then I would just probably pay off one of my rental properties, if not two. So I could just increase my cash flow by a bunch of money. And then if I really wanted to, well, nah. But yeah, that's probably what I would do, personally. So Snoopy, actually, yeah, it's funny you say that. So that's exactly what I said yesterday. Is the semiconductor markets have seen additional weakness as of late. Specifically, you're looking at Nvidia and all those things, and AMD, and so that's specifically one of the markets we're looking for to eventually pick up and then go into a buy move and things like that. So yeah, we are looking at the semiconductor market for, a turnaround at some point. So again, it's not sitting here trying to pick a bottom on it. If the market goes into an uptrend, just like it did yesterday, which was just a short-lived one in the after hours. But if we go into an uptrend on Nvidia and AMD, then you're gonna, look to the long side, just like we saw today with, Apple going bearish, right? So if we look at Apple here, Apple, I don't know, somewhere around here. So like Apple went bearish below 247. So same thing we would look at for any one of these ones, like Meta or was it Microsoft? Yeah, got all these random drawings on here. Remove drawings. So yeah, the day that the Nvidia market and AMD market start going into positive trends, then yeah, we'll look for them to turn around. But until we start being signaled uptrend starts on those, your risk is just elevated. There's really just no point. So you can just kind of sit back, relax, chill, and then the day those go into uptrends, you can take on a little risk if you want. Sold most of your Tesla 400 calls Friday. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're getting, it could go higher, yes. But if you look at Tesla, and I'll bring it over, I actually don't need to bring it over because I programmed my hotkeys again so that I can make the stream more functional. So if you go look at Tesla right now, Tesla is moving towards daily +3, which means it still arguably has room up to. It's getting close to weekly +3. So this is exactly where you kind of consider that the move has entered some euphoria, right? You're no longer down here on sale. You're no longer in the middle where it's arguably a fair price. You're no longer just a little overbought from fair value. You're now 2 times overbought from fair value, almost 3 times overbought from fair value. And if the market gets extremely euphoric, we will see maybe 4 times overbought from fair value. So you've essentially sold into a longer term zone that's trading about 2.5x fair value. So you really should just be like, job well done to yourself. Maybe you didn't get all of it, maybe it goes higher, but in the big picture, you're in sort of the top or upper echelon of selling range as opposed to buying range.
Actually, you know what I'm kind of curious about? You got a good deal on them. Yeah.
Are we getting our SPX bounce off target? It's close. Not quite. We also just hit the 0 fib of the previous day's CPI gap, which I'm not really that concerned about. I don't know. I mean, I do know, but you know. And they're not allowing that. So we're going to transition this guy here. Come on, Bitcoin, do it, baby. Keep pumping. You only have, you know, another $40,000 or $50,000 to go up before we probably, well, yeah, do a little short trap. But yeah, again, side note, as many of you guys know, if you guys are new here, which most of you aren't new here, but for that one person that might be, again, we are looking up to about 125 to 140,000. By next week, we're probably looking to 130 to 145,000. And if the target isn't hit that week, then the next week we're looking at 140 to 150. And if it ain't hit that week, then we're going 145 to 155. I would say at Bitcoin's current volatility and current appreciation, we're increasing the expected volatility by about $5,000 per week.
You get streams every 5. It's funny because the stream settings, hold on, where is it at? Where'd it go? Oh, maybe it's in this. Oh yeah. So in the stream settings, we currently have the ad frequency set to lower earning potentials, less interrupted viewer experience. So I currently have the ad set to the lowest reoccurring frequency. So the fact that you're getting them that frequent is kind of funny because I literally have it set on the lowest frequency to pay me the least amount of money for all of this, so that the stream is less interrupted for you. So the fact that you're still being interrupted that significantly is kind of comical. I show you too. I'm not pulling your rag. Look, it's right here. So yeah, I mean, I do have, you know, monetization on. You know, I make about, you know, $1 when I stream to you guys, but conservative, right? So it's not even on balanced, medium earnings, balanced viewer experience, right? This is on lower earning potential, less interrupted viewer experience. So objectively, what you said is the exact opposite of how it's set up. So kind of interesting, but you know, what are you gonna do? I guess I can't really do anything. Well, I could turn them all off. Oh. And then if you turn them all off, you know, YouTube 100% won't want to advertise your stream because then your stream effectively makes zero money for them as well. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword there. It's like you kind of want ads on because then it further incentivizes YouTube to show your stuff because then there's money to be made off of what you're doing via advertisement. Versus if you don't do any, then there is arguably less incentive for them to promote because they make no money realistically. It's just a thank you in general as a public service, but no profit to be made either on my side from it nor YouTube side. So slightly a double-edged sword there. Where'd that go? Is it here? Is it this? Not there. Huh? Not there. Yeah, I mean, one of the things you could arguably do is just, set up an ad blocker. Obviously, if you do that, I mean, again, I've used some that work, and then sometimes, like, it doesn't. So I'm not, like, a professional wizard on ad blockers by any means. The fact that I'm even telling you to do it, YouTube's like, oh, I hate you. Don't tell that. Don't say that. So literally going against everything that would even, help the stream get, put an ad blocker on there. Don't worry about them, right? They hate that. But funny. So yeah, I'm not sure why it's so frequent there. Again, like I said, I have set it down to the lowest pace. I had it on balanced before, but after you guys said it's coming every 5 minutes, I just took it down to the lowest setting there. Yeah, sorry, let me bring this back over to our best friend Bitcoin. We'll go back here. Come on, Bitcoin. Would you just hurry up and break out so that we can all just start cheering and laughing and giggling and then throw out a couple told you so's just for funsies? And then we can all just cheer and be happy before the next bear market ensues. And then we get slapped. Come on, buddy. Just get out of this range. Come on. Go up. That way we can see, Ash Crypto Twitter start saying Bitcoin's pumping again, along with every other Twitter profile that gets 16,000 trillion views. And then you can get their followers to repump the price up. Let's go. It's not that hard. Again, our objective currently is to get prices through 102.536, which again sounds kind of dumb saying because it really is just like basically saying, yeah, guys, when we go over this high, the prices are going to go up. It's like, thanks, Captain Obvious. Appreciate that. But that is our trigger point for the moment. So say this. Okay. Whoa. Get out of there. Again, not fully to that level of 6,000, 30 or so. 6,032s. But, good enough. Good enough. So, yep. Anyways, you guys have a good one. We'll see you back next week. Not a whole lot more to say. And, yeah. Cheers. Catch you guys back next week. Have a good one. Have a good weekend.